What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and in this Darkest Dungeon 2 video, we're going to go over the patch notes for the beta branch of the quality of life update that we just got, and I'll recap what they talked about in the previous patch announcement, I guess, and I'll get my thoughts and my thoughts, right? That's pretty much all it is. And they didn't say they were going to do any hero balancing, but they snuck some in. I would still prefer a dedicated patch, but I am not going to argue on any hero tweaks, even if it makes the character worse. I don't care. It just, I do care a bit, but as long as they are still trying to do stuff, that is good for me. Like I said, I'd rather they do it all of it at once. Makes it easier, but if they just throw in, you know, something every patch, then every hero might be balanced and fixed in a year. Alright, sarcasm aside. Red Hook has spared the we need a hero patch, what is it, tirade for at least a couple videos. So if you want to access this is on the beta branch, so if you have your Epic Games Store installation, then you can play the experimental build there. It's a separate icon, or at least it was back when, you know, I was using it. Or if you want to do it on Steam, you go to Game Properties, Betas, it's just a drop-down menu, and then under Betas there should be a branch called Coming in Hot. And that is what you have to click, and then you can play on this. So it's not on live yet, so it's not finalized, which is why they don't have patch notes officially posted on the website, at least not when I looked. And so because of that, this is still subject to change. So if there is stuff that you don't like, or stuff that you do like, because people also like compliments, then tell them. This is the time to tell them. What they said they were going to give us in this patch before was they were going to rework enemy death blow resist entirely. Instead of changing the percentages, they just changed the mechanic. And they talked about the Act 3 boss going through some changes, which I'll clearly, they spoilered it for us, so you'll know when it's coming. And some other quality of life stuff that helps the run not feel as bad when, you know, someone dies. But I still don't feel like it quite fixes the problem of it being very, very difficult to get to the inn if someone dies. It shouldn't be free, you know, to do that, but most of the time it is just a death sentence. I'm not going to read all this word for word, but the major stuff, at least in terms of QOL, is the death armor token. I wasn't sure what they were going to call this, but this is a better name than like Death's Door token, because it differentiates it a little bit from the player version. So the player has death blow resist as a percentage stat, and then the enemy gets a token to signify it, and it's called something different. So it's not Death's Door on both sides, and you're like, well, why is mine different? So this, I was initially not really in favor of this change, but I'm still willing to see how it goes, and I feel like the way they're implementing it is actually better than I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be, you know, hit them like 3 times and then they die, which it kind of is, but there are mechanics tied to it. You can swap hero paths at inns. All of you Monarch Leper fans, rejoice. You are now not saddled with a garbage hero path for... I'm sorry, I gotta troll the DD Cord people, but yeah, you're not saddled with a difficult path for, you know, 3 hours, and then you get to pop off of the mountain. Now you can just run Tempest all the way up to the mountain, and then keep Tempest, because why are you running Monarch? Oh. Okay, hey, I gotta stop. Jokes aside, this is a great change, because initially I don't know if I really liked it, but what I do like now, because people, you know, made this point, was that if someone dies and you get someone new, it is really good to have control over what they can do. Because before, if they are memoried, they come in with their memoried path, and if they were not memoried, they just come in as a wanderer. But now you actually get to choose in that scenario, but also it's easier to retool your team between regions. So like if you're going to the fetter for blight trinkets, for instance, for your plague doctor. You can swap her to surgeon so your blight's not as bad, and then stab everything, and that's pretty cool. And so this kind of makes it more feel like Darkest Dungeon 1 in a bit, or in a way, because it's something where in DD1 you took a team, you were using that team for like 15, 20, 30 minutes, and then you come back to, you know, the hamlet, and then you'd swap them out, or you might change your Crusader for another Crusader. And this kind of recaptures that a little bit, where instead of your team being the exact same for 4 hours, your team now only really needs to be the same for an hour, and then you have the option to swap it. So I think that's pretty cool. I wasn't initially a fan of this either, but I'm coming around to it. Factions are back in road battles. This is pretty cool because now it doesn't feel like you're just fighting bandits and gaunt for, you know, 2.5 out of the 4 hours. That's a really nice change. I don't know how this is going to work with like collector and stuff, but we'll see. Alright, combat. Looks like some bug fixing. Yeah, so since enemy deathblow resist is gone, they have to change everything from deathblow resist to this death's armor now. So that's why the patch notes look so bloated, is because they have to list everything going from deathblow resist to execute or removing death armor. Let's see. After equipping a torch or pet, other pets and torches are removed from the store. I wonder why that is. Like, they don't cost anything. Were players having an issue with this? I'm actually not sure. Choose your skill order. This is something they had in DD1. I'm so happy it made it to DD2, because it makes it way easier. You put all your, you know, main use skills on like 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 is all the other stuff. I really like that. Deathcap spores now remove death armor instead of lower DBR, which is pretty cool. You know, keeps them relevant, and also certain characters that don't have execution, which is the mechanic to bypass it, kind of like how, what you call it, you know, like pick to the face bypasses block, execution bypasses, what is it, the death armor stuff. So you can still have characters throw like death cap and then stab them. So trinkets, all the ones that have DBR piercing got 1 execute. I think enemies can have up to 3, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of like every other token in the game that can stack. It goes up to 3. Hero Remains now provide 2 mastery upon delivery. Mastery bonus not available for hero remains found in the valley. So you can't kill your entire team and get 6 mastery. And then, you know, 3 new heroes. So that's pretty funny that they had to do that, but it was a good change, because the game was honestly too punishing for people dying, you know, and the game does need to be punishing in certain ways, but it's like, it's already hard enough to get to the end when someone dies. And so having, because the theme of the game is about hope, and so having a way to be hopeful, you know, you get to the end, okay, I'm resupplying, I got a new character, I can kit up this new character and fit them to the team and stuff, and that's really good. And then you get some mastery, so if you have mastery on the other character, it's not like a total loss for them dying, which is really nice. So yeah. The Slayer quirks for factions have changed to execute 2. That's actually pretty good, because a lot of enemies are going to get 1 death armor, and I think some bosses get like 2 or 3. And so being able to just nuke 2 of them, pretty cool. Bounty Hunter got buffed. Really happy to see this. It's not even the death armor changing and stuff like that. It's Mark for Death now removes all dodge and dodge plus, so it is just strictly better vulnerability hex. You love to see it. BH buffs. Hopefully it makes him more enticing, because I know people stopped kind of running him, but he's always fun, at least to me. Grave Robber went through the same thing. Actually, I like this change. Glint in the Dark removes all stealth instead of 1. Fantastic change. Because I don't even know why it removed 1. That was a bit weird. So this is just a nice quality of life thing, I guess. Well, it's a balance thing. And then she has Glint in the Dark with Execute, and if she's in Stealth with Glint Plus, Execute 3. So I'm assuming this is just skipping all death armor on the target, which is fantastic. This is a more bust for Grave Robber. We love Audrey around here, okay? Bloodlust on Hellion got buffed. So I think the cooldown's shorter. I think it was 3 before. I might be mistaken. Or maybe it was 1. Because they're not saying if it went up or down. I'm not sure if it was 1 or if it was... Actually, maybe it had no cooldown. I can't remember. Oh well. And that bleed damage thing... Yeah, it did last 5 rounds. This is interesting because Bloodlust kind of started breaking the mold in terms of everything being like a 3-round cycle. Because, you know, damage over time, healing over time, buffs, debuffs, they're usually 3 rounds if they're not per battle. And Hellion kind of broke that, and it looks like they are sticking with it, which is... No more bleed res on Bloodlust, but gives her Execution 1 versus bleeding targets for 5 rounds. That's a nice small buff for bleed teams. You might be thinking, oh, now it's time to run Berserker. No! You're running Ravager, but you have bleed synergy on the team, right? This is your anamnesis or anamnesis with Occultist hitting everyone, because Occultist gets buffed here in a sec. And then you have Bloodlust. That's how you're supposed to use it, right? Get out of here with your non-Ravager paths. I don't want to hear about it. Why am I so ornery, or whatever the term is? I'm so sassy today. Yeah. Highwayman, Wicked Slice, execute. Double tap, execute. Very cool. LEPER fixed an issue in which the self-inflicted vulnerable on Revenge and Revenge Plus could sometimes be resisted. Just let them resist it, man. Like, come on. Alright. LEPER nerfs? Is that the thumbnail? Occultist buffs, LEPER nerfs. I might do it to you guys, I'm sorry. Occultist, though. Big change for Occultist. Look, they were so proud of the Occultist changes, they gave him the little metal thing for some of it. Like, all this other stuff, like, okay, this is important. All the bold stuff, sure. This is all normal. Then you get to Occultist, like, hold up, did you see that Malediction now lasts for 3 rounds instead of 3 turns? Weird reconstruction. Please stop complaining about it. It got buffed. Alright. Sack Stab Plus has Execute 1. Very cool. Binding Shadows no longer generates unchecked power versus combo targets. Binding Shadows is usable from 4. Praise the Eldritch Gods and the Hearts of Darkness. I am so happy to see that Binding Shadows is usable from 4. This means you can now do really goofy, silly, fun, stupid stuff like rank 4 Aspirants. That's cool. Binding Shadows now inflicts a minus 10% res debuff versus combo for 3 rounds. Non-resistible? For 3 rounds, too. This isn't turns. This is rounds. Hold up. Oh my goodness. This is juicy, man. Look at this. Occult. I'm gonna have to play this dude for a while. Look at this dude. Binding Shadows Plus, now chance of generating unchecked power increased from 50 to 66%. Decent Binding Shadows buffs just across the board. And this is really cool because it opens up some stuff. You can use Binding Shadows as Aspirant and as Ritualist, and they're both good. At least on paper. So that is really nice to see. Malediction lasts 3 rounds instead of 3 turns. This is fantastic because Malediction, its main purpose was to kill bosses. It was okay against like size 2 enemies that didn't get a lot of actions. It was okay there, but it still ran out too fast. Most enemies have 1 good damage over time resist, or they have really good debuff resist. You know, like bosses have 40, 50% sometimes. Maybe 50, definitely 40 on a lot of them. And being able to, you know, charge up to unchecked power, Malediction gets resisted, you feel like garbage, and then you uninstall the game. Well, now, not a thing, hopefully. Well, it won't happen as frequently. But this is pretty cool because now you can like spam unchecked power against combo tokens to get like the debuff res down or to generate unchecked power. And then you throw the Malediction, or if you have Chaotic Offer, like, because of this, you could even do it with Warlock, dude. This is crazy. Like, just, the gears are spinning with this, because with, like, Warlock Occultist, you generate unchecked power naturally, so you could sit there and just spam, you know, Binding Shadows or use Chaotic Offering and throw out, like, multiple Maledictions. Does that work? I have to see that. Weakening Curse base now applies 2 weak tokens instead of 1. Fantastic change. weakening curse. I was gonna say weak curse, but weakening curse plus now removes all strength before applying weak tokens. This is really good, so they don't cancel out. This means like weak is going to stick if it gets through the debuff resist. And then same with Vuln Hex. So Occultist curses, much better. Weird reconstruction, minimum HP threshold raised from 33 to 50. This is where it should have been for a long time, but I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I am very, 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 very happy to see that, because the thing with Occultist, I say in like all my videos, but in case you haven't heard me say it before, I'll make it quick. In the first game, Occultist, the heal is a bit inconsistent, so you don't want to heal when they're dying. You want to heal when they're at about half. So Red Hook also made that the play. I would like to see the bleed get lowered a bit, like maybe make it 2x3 turns at base and then 2x2 turns master, just so it's still a little threatening. Because the issue is that since it only heals like 33% without, you know, ritualist, trinkets, quirks, all that other stuff, for a chunk of the cast, it's like a net negative HP, like a net negative heal if the bleed goes through, you know? So it'll be like Plague Doctor, it's gonna heal 7 HP on your Alchemist or something, and then, you know, you heal 2 and then you bleed her, and, you know, because 7 was the top end, and so you're taking 7 damage because you're taking like a 3 bleed for 3 turns. So it's on beta branch, so I'm definitely gonna keep pushing for this to have the bleed amount lowered, and then I think I'll leave weird reconstruction alone. So this is like, look at this, man. There's all these other mechanics to talk about, and death armor and FF changes which are coming up, and I am most excited about Occultist buffs. Oh, I'm so juiced. Alright, death armor on pretty much everything that had DVR. There's one thing I wanted to look at. There's one thing important here. I think it's a boss. Yeah, lair bosses. So, Dreaming General gets 3 death armor. Understandable. Harvest Child gets 2. Understandable. Leviathan, they're trying to change. I think they did this in the last patch too, for worship. So they're making kind of a conscious effort to remove some of the unfair feeling things in the game, like, oh, free action worship top of the round or whatever, you know. And certain bosses that come in blasting you the moment they're summoned may not do that either. And for Leviathan, I don't remember being too fast in terms of like actual speed as a boss, but Leviathan also had, you know, top of the round actions. Undertow and Breath of the Sea were top of the round. And so what it sounds like, I don't know this, I haven't like played to check, but because these notes came out very recently, but just looking at it, it sounds like, so Breath of the Sea now occurs as a regular initiative action instead of start round skill. So a lot of Leviathan's, pretty much, well, both of Leviathan's turn start, you know, do stuff things are getting moved to regular turns, it sounds like. Except the hand now receives an additional, wait. Okay, yeah, never mind. I was wrong. I thought batter. I thought I read batter in here. Did I not? I guess not. I thought they changed it so batter was different, but apparently not. Okay. Leviathan made a bit harder. I'd like to see the hand HP go down to like 15-ish. I think that'd be a bit fair, but and we really need like ordained bosses. That's what it's kind of coming down to. We need scaling boss difficulty, because Leviathan's pretty much untouchable in region 1 without like drums and thick mud, poets, sergeants, stuff like that. And then he's pretty chill in like biome 3. But besides that, Leviathan, light and burn res going up 10%, bleed res going up 10%, debuff res coming down. Good to see another Occultist buff. Fix an issue where Eye of the Storm could target corpses. Librarian, 2 DBR. Alright, spoilers. Oh, okay. So these are confession bosses, these are the mountain bosses. I think that rounds out the video. Yeah. So if you don't want to get spoiled, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you do want to get spoiled, or you already beat the game and stuff, then stay tuned. Alright. So, Denial. Speed of all monsters has been adjusted to reduce likelihood of clustered actions. Oh, they changed all of them a bit. Look at this. Okay. I mean, I didn't mind this so much. It did kind of suck sometimes, though. You know, the issue with this... Okay, so the issue with the clustered action things is that 4 speed, no joke, is faster than, like, most of the heroes. That's why it always felt that way. And only 3 characters, I think, could go over 4 speed or 5 speed. And that was Highwayman, Grave Robber, Jester. Maybe Occultist too. Can't remember, but everyone else slow AF. That's why it felt like there was a cluster of actions. Here I am talking about hero balance. Yeah, so they just adjusted them to be different, so... I wonder if there's any, like, combo synergy here. I'm sorry, my cat's running around, but... Because we have, like, you know, 4 to 3, 4 to 5, 4 to 1, 4 to 2, so it's very clear that they want the Lamentation one to go near the top of the round. I can't remember what they all do individually besides, you know, cleaves and stuns and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting, like, you know, if this had some synergy, like this made a combo token, wasting padlocks, spent it, like that could be cool, but we don't really need to redesign it. Let's see. Seething Sigh, pretty much perfect at this point. No changes besides Death Armor. FF. So FF, Obsession, Focused Fault, Eyeball. Lots of changes. And I just have to say, I'm very happy that Red Hook did not give up on it. It would have been very easy to do that. Also, I'm going to try and make this a bit bigger. Because the size changes and stuff like that. Pretty annoying in terms of like... So, I apologize about that. Bam. Alright. So, FF. Scene tokens max reduced from 4 to 3. Scene tokens are fully removed when a hero stealths. And you get to see what stuff does in the academic view, which you mouse over the monster, hold Alt, or press in your middle mouse button. I don't know what it is on controller, even though I played controller for a bit, but this is good. More information is good. And they're changing how, you know, the mechanics work and stuff like that, which is just, it's great. So the way to get rid of scene tokens now is to essentially dodge it or stealth. And that's kind of cool, you know, because it's like, it feels very thematic because you have a giant eyeball of a boss or little eyeballs if you're in phase 1. Look, they go, okay, we're going to hive mind, kill that dude. Oh crap, where'd they go? Okay, we're getting that one. You know, focus that way. So these changes look good on paper. The one scene token is removed when a hero, or from a hero when an enemy misses. One scene token is removed when a hero lands a killing blow on an eye. That's great. Blind is no longer ignored for certain skills for eye stalks and FF. I understand, like, glorified centrism right now, but I understand both sides. On the one hand, it doesn't make sense that FF can get blinded because it kind of acts like a hive mind. And there are eyeballs all over the arena. Not just like on the field, but the arena itself is eyeballs. So how do you blind all that? On the other hand, every player, for the first time seeing this boss, maybe the second time, is going to try and blind it because it's a gigantic eyeball. You would assume that blind is very good against it. So it looks like Red Hook is leaning towards the latter now and going with, yeah, you can blind the eyeball. It's cool. Let's see, eye stalks. Let's see, gaze, glare, and glower. These are the ones that don't apply the scene tokens. So if you already have a scene token, this is kind of like their combo effect. And it now applies minus 10% debuff res for 1 battle if you have 2 or more scene tokens. Do you really want to keep those tokens down? Let's see. Cluster of Eyes is the group of 3. Now applies 3 scene tokens. Speed reduced from 6 to 4, so you have a chance to, you know, deal with this. This is the tier 2 one that has like 2 eyeballs, bifurcated, I can't even say that word. Now applies 2, which I'm going to assume that the eye stalk only applies 1, tiny one. FF no longer gets an immediate action when phase 2 starts. Fantastic, because honestly, no one like that. The boss just comes in and crits 60. Actions per round increase from 2 to 3. And the first turn will always be Behold. This means that FF isn't getting top of the round actions. So there's no, it gets Summon, Limerence immediately. Next turn, Behold before you get to do anything. Behold every single turn. And this is cool, because this is more interactive. Because one of the things I always talk about, or at least lately, is interacting with the game. This is more interactive. What I mean is, enemies starting the round or starting the fight doing stuff that you can't avoid, can't deal with, stuff like that. That doesn't feel very good. So I like seeing this. Apply to attacker when crit combo. So if you crit FF, it combos you. That's how it triggers suppress. Gone. Reduced damage over time. Resist from 50 to 40. This is a good change. Reduced debuff res from 30 to 20. Great change. This makes it more susceptible to being blinded. Behold is no longer a free action at the start of the round. No longer applies weak tokens. Now applies 2 instead of 3 random tokens from vulnerable or daze. This means that I'm pretty sure it can high roll stun your ass still, which, I mean, the boss has to be threatening still, right? But we'll see. This is on beta. So if it sucks, tell them. I know I will. But this is pretty nice, because coming up with damage is like the hardest thing in this fight, because it is a race, or at least it initially was. So getting weakened, stunned, blinded every time just was not the business. But otherwise, I don't know if it can double daze you. Like, maybe you can only daze once and then vuln once, and that's fine. Or 2 vuln, also fine. Let's see, Behold now only targets heroes with scene tokens or a random hero if there are no scene tokens present. So if you're getting rid of them, then it'll just reapply them. But FF is, as we're going to read below here, FF has, it gets more threatening the more scene tokens you have on you. So you really want to like shift the burden to other people. That's how it feels like the fight's going to play out now. You want your tank to get hit a couple times, cleanse them, maybe Highwayman or Grave Robber dodge tanks a couple hits, and then you go back to your tank after you heal him up. Or you just use Flagellant and just keep getting hit in the face because he doesn't give a crap. Suppress no longer targets the hero party when 2 or more heroes have combo. Great change. Very, very happy to see that, because honestly, getting 2 crits on the boss and then having your entire team stunned by suppress was not fun at all. Now requires targets to have no scene tokens and 3 positive tokens. That's pretty cool. It's kind of going with the obsession theme overall of, looking for positive tokens, and I don't know if suppress can copy them or not. But yeah. Can still hit multiple heroes if the conditions are met. Understandable. No longer guaranteed to use the skill when the conditions are met. And this may not really matter to a lot of players, but it's something that people very familiar with the fight were able to do on the old versions of FF, were to bait suppress. So it'll be like, you get combo tokens on your 2 damage dealers, guard them, and suppress hits the other 2 or 1 person or something like that. And then it keeps using it over and over because it can't hit the person to clear it off. So you get a lot of free damage turns. Which, this means that this is kind of like an instant fix to that. The damage went up from 1 to 2 to 6 to 8. No longer is this just a death's door check type move. This is actually a threat, and you're going, oh, 6 to 8 is not too bad. You gotta remember, there's vulnerable all over the place in this fight, so having that happen means these are actually 9 to 12, and they can crit for 18. If my math is correct. So this is still dangerous. Now deals 2 stress and reduces flame by 10 for each target hit. I'd like to see this be 5, but we'll have to see, right? It's in testing again. Limerence, damage scaling per token increased from 25 to 100% per scene token. And put scene in here. And I don't know if they changed the damage value. I think there's been so many changes to this. I can't remember, man. But I think the previous iteration had Limerence lowered a bit. I don't know if it's still lowered or if it got buffed or what. The target has 2 scene tokens, gets hit by Limerence, minus 10% debuff res for the entire battle. This seems bad, but honestly, it's one of those things. You get hit by it twice, it's not going to matter. Like, it will not matter after a certain point. This is the dangerous one, though. If the target has 3 scene tokens, it ignores all death blow resist. I think it doesn't bypass it, so he still has to hit you. But if you are at 0 with 3 scene tokens, you are dead. Straight up. Unless that 33% thing kicks in. I don't know, man. I don't know. Limerence now applies a daze token to non-scene heroes when possible. This sounds like a weird change, but what this is for is if you guard someone that has scene tokens. So, you know, it's FF's turn, you guard beforehand, Limerence hits Man-at-Arms, it's gonna daze them, so you can't just, you know, chain guard, which is fine. Although you still probably can. If I can be quite honest, you still probably can, depending on how the turns line up. But, actually might get stunned. I didn't think of that. So if your turn's over and you're guarding with, you know, Man-at-Arms, Vestal, or Bounty Hunter, if you somehow get them up there, then you can't normally, right? I'm just talking about, like, you know, some mod or hacking or whatnot. But this means that, you know, if your turn's over, you get hit by Limerence twice because you have 2-3 guard tokens, you're going to get yourself stunned. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. And then they fixed a thing for Karajan and Grave Robber. Yeah. A lot of stuff. Big, girthy patch. Love to see it. Very happy. You know, some of these changes I wasn't in favor of at the start, but just reading them now seems pretty good. And like I was saying before, I'm glad FF did not give up, or no, Red Hook didn't give up on FF. And I was going to stream this today, but the patch came out kind of late. And I'm addicted to Against the Storm, but I will play this tomorrow on Friday. And that is the video. But let me know what you're thinking down below, whether you enjoy it or whatnot. Make sure you watch the stream tomorrow on Friday, and I'll see y'all later.